All right, so Jay, let's switch to college basketball. Basketball fans internationally were treated to the Final Four last Saturday in Indianapolis, where you had Baylor and Houston. Baylor beat the brakes off of Houston. We won't go into that. However, we will go into the game after that, where you had the number 1 overall seed Gonzaga facing off against number 11 seed UCLA, who took down your Michigan Wolverines in impressive fashion. Michigan to be back. Juwan Howard's doing a really, really good job.
He is.
And this was a game for the ages, Jay. Went into overtime, and the game ended, as many of you well know, with Jalen Suggs hitting felt like somewhat of a logo shot. Final 3 to win the game, buzzer beater for the ages, putting his team ahead 93-90 and propelling them into the championship game versus Baylor on Monday night. So, Jay, with this buzzer beater by Jalen Suggs, an all-time shot in college basketball, where do you rank it, or do you put it within the pantheon of the greatest game winners that we have ever seen in college basketball?
For myself, I'd put it in my top 3. I'll give it that much respect. I've seen a lot of great buzzer beaters, and we talked about it, pre-production or whatnot. I didn't get to put together a full list, but I pulled up CBS's list that they have, and I feel like I can go through a lot of those that really jumped out. I like a game winner that leads to something bigger. Either it's leading to a title game or it's leading to the championship itself. Okay. Those, to me, really resonate the most. You get the most emotion from it. And the way that he hit that shot, like in succession of what was going on in the sequence, just made it masterful. Because, what was that? Johnny, was his name? Juzing with UCLA when he hit that shot inside the paint. To tie the game up. Yes. And then follow up behind that, Jalen Suggs runs up the court and knocks down the shot. I was watching that and I lost it.
Me too.
I lost it.
I'm like, I'm as non of a Gonzaga fan as mostly everybody else.
Right.
But I totally lost it. And part of the reason why is because it connects to who you were or where you were if you saw any of those previous game winners. Like, I remember being a kid seeing the Christian Laettner game winner over Kentucky, right?
Yep.
And that was that in the Final Four to send them to the championship game, I think?
That was Elite Eight.
That was an Elite Eight game, okay?
Yep.
So one of the all-time great shots, I remember that. It brought to mind just, a little bit ago, 5 years ago, 2016 with Villanova.
Yes.
Hitting the game-winning three-point shot to win the championship. And then, just in my mind, MJ's winner, his game winner for the championship in 82, as well as, and this is probably my favorite, the putback slam for NC State when they had Jim Valvano, the late, great Jim Valvano, in order to win the championship. And then everybody's going crazy. He's just running around the court, has no idea what he's doing or where his team is, and this is the coach. To me, that's one of my all-time favorites. So I think that I'm going to remember this in the pantheon of those great shots, like you said, because it leads to something greater. And, I mean, it was just a fantastic shot. Like, and seeing him attempt that shot, I had a feeling it was going to go in. And the coach, Mark Few, said that they practiced those. Yeah, immediately. And I think he knew, too. If you watch him, as he starts already heading to the sidelines to jump on the table, a la Kobe.
A la D-Wade. And he said that he wanted to do that. And it's funny, D-Wade replied back and said, I jumped on my kitchen table. Yeah. Which is pretty dope. But yeah. That was the way the sequence went down. Like you said, Mark Few mentioned that they practice it. So that's kind of like that Bill Belichickian type mindset of let's practice the circumstances that we may come across once we hit critical parts of games.
Now, we'll ask you this, because I did talk to Chris about this some time ago, about these all-time game-winning shots. If the ones where if the guy misses it, they lose the game, should be placed higher than the ones to where if they miss it, it sucks, but you're still tied. You're going to double overtime like in this game. Yeah,
that's the question.
Does that matter much to you?
To me, it doesn't. It doesn't, because this is why the pressure is still there, regardless if you're going to lose the game or if you're going to stay tied, or if you're going to tie the game. Well, correction. If you're either going to lose the game or you're going to move into the next overtime. I feel like the pressure is still there for both, because if you get into the next overtime, you can get blown out.
True.
People can you're probably tired potentially because they were going to a second. So you could be so worn out that it doesn't help to me. So I know a lot of people like to throw that if the game's tied and you miss it, it doesn't matter. You go to overtime. as less pressure, it's always pressure hitting that shot, especially the way he hit it. He was running up the court to try to hit it. I mean, you consider it lucky, you consider it as practice. It's no matter what, it's still a big deal.
I mean, and that's a really good point because this UCLA team, I mean, what an impressive performance. They would not, they had an answer for everything. They just would not go away. I mean, sometimes the ball, it's a miracle for you. Sometimes it's a miracle for the other team.
Right.
Not much you can do about that, but they played an incredible game.
So with this, does this cement Jalen Suggs as a top 3 draft pick now?
I wouldn't say top 3.
I mean, from his performance in the game, too.
No, still no. I'm not exactly. I haven't done really much prep on who's going to be in the NBA draft. I know about Cade Cunningham, but I haven't really done much prep beyond that. So I'm not sure because we've seen this before, where an impressive young guard leads his team, through a championship run at NCAA, and then they get drafted probably higher than they should, and you don't hear from them anymore. Like I thought about Shabazz Napier for UConn, who had a fantastic run through the tournament. Got drafted by Miami, and I have no idea where he is.
I don't even know if he's still in the league. He probably is, but I don't know. I mean, Chris Jenkins is no different. I mean, he hit that game winner for Villanova, which I felt like that one's also was a tied situation. It was 2.1 seconds left on the clock, and he was able to, walk up, basically a walk-up national championship shot that you can't downplay it just because the game was tied. I feel like you got to pay respect to the fact that you're able to hit a clutch shot like that to win, especially for the national championship. But like I said, if they went to overtime, there's a chance they're going to lose that game. And there was that questionable charge that was there at the paint that potentially would have altered the game. And I get people being upset that they called that charge as it was questionable. It looked like his arm was moving or whatnot. The big man for Gonzaga. Overall, there was a chance that Gonzaga was going to lose in overtime, and I'm heartbroken that this wasn't the team to knock them off because I have doubted Gonzaga this entire time because I feel like it is really hard to go completely undefeated from end to end and win a national championship because we haven't seen it since '76.
Right. So by the time y'all hear this show, the game would have been played. Gonzaga versus Baylor. So real quick, Jay, what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Baylor wins.
Ooh, really?
Baylor's gonna win a title. I think they're gonna. I have to stick to it. I'm not gonna admit I'm wrong until I'm actually wrong.
Now, were they your pick to win the championship?
No, my pick was Michigan. I didn't even have Baylor going to the title game. Well, actually, no, I did. I had them going to the title game in 2 of my 3 brackets.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm riding with Baylor to win this one.
I mean, they were dominant in their game, and I know that. I mean, again, we've seen this before, where you come off of an emotional high, and there's this letdown, and they have to be exhausted from how hard UCLA pushed them to come right back 48 hours later.
Yep.
And I know it's been around that same time for Baylor as well.
But Baylor blew out.
It's like Houston wasn't even there.
Yeah, I forgot that Houston was even playing in the game.
They controlled that entire game.
And I think that's the big problem I saw with most of this tournament is most of the games were like this. Like Gonzaga was beating everybody by 20 plus, right? I think at least by 15 or more every single game. And now we have a situation where they actually had to play a tough game. I think that's going to be the difference maker in the national championship.
Yeah, I think either way it's going to be a tough game. If I had to pick, my original pick in the only bracket that I did was Gonzaga, so I would stick with them. I think this UCLA experience was good for them, because you have those games, like you said, most of the games they win by double digits. But to be able to bounce back in a game like this with a scrappy team that's not giving you anything and that have an answer for everything, I think is going to help them against Baylor. Either way, I want it to be a great game. It'd be a great finish. It'd be the best finish to come off of this type of shot in a Final Four game to having a great game in the championship, because it'd be a bit of a letdown if this was a blowout either way, especially since we didn't have a tournament last year. I mean, you want a great ending to your movie. That is this.
I agree.
So hopefully it's a close game.
And that's a disappointing thing with it is Baylor was supposed to play Gonzaga this season. And the game was canceled due to all the COVID stuff that was going on within their organization. So we didn't get to see them a preview of what this game actually is because of that. And so, Gonzaga has beaten everybody by a minimum of 16. The closest was the OU game. They won 87-71. So with that, we're in a situation where Gonzaga is actually going to be They met a team that was able to run with them with UCLA. Now the question is, can Baylor keep that trend going in the title? So
we will find out.
We will see. So with the women.
So with that,